The Carnivortex, the Carnivortex. How did I get sucked into this Carnivortex? The Carnivortex, the Carnivortex. How did I get sucked into this Carnivortex? Beef, butter, bacon, eggs, eat fatty meat. Sounds great! The Carnivortex, the Carnivortex. How did I get sucked into this Carnivortex? The Carnivortex, the Carnivortex. Just give it a shot and you'll be carnivore next.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Carnivortex. I'm your host, NoCarbBarb, and I, along with the HighFatCats, who are my managers, editors, and producers, and Emmerich is managing editor this morning, and we bring you another exciting episode. And today, I am thrilled to have as my guest Amy Davis, who is also known as Rockin Keto Amy, Rockin Keto Coach Amy. She is just everything. If it rocks, it's Amy. So with that, I will let her properly introduce herself because she may not really like that intro.
No, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. My name is Amy Davis, and I have been on a ketogenic and now carnivore diet going on 8 years. And I've been carnivore for about, probably 6 months. But I have lost 110 pounds. I have fixed things like anxiety. I have gotten off of high blood pressure meds. I have fixed my joint pain. My sleep apnea is better. I've had asthma since childhood. That's much better. My allergies are much better, but not this week because I'm off some allergy meds to take an allergy test. And I've had 7 surgeries in my adult life that I think some of them could have been avoided had I known about this lifestyle. And my current passion is I'm studying to be a health coach with Kiltz and Dr. Barry. I'm in both programs and I'm very close to getting certified in both. I just have to take my final exam and PhD, and I think Kiltz is a done deal. I think I'm already done with all the coursework for that. I've started up my own coaching business, and that is called Harmony Health and Lifestyle. You can find that at harmonyhealthandlifestyle.com. It's got a music theme, just like Keto Rock Stars, because I do sing in 2 choirs, and I had played piano for 20 years. So I do like the music theme. And let's see, that's pretty much, in a nutshell, the short version of everything. Thank you so much, Barb, for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, gosh, really nothing going on there. We'll just, go now. Oh my goodness, there is so much to talk about. That is really exciting. All of the things that you've got going on. I don't even know where to start with that. First of all, I'm just going to say, so Amy and I don't really know each other. We've been on different live streams together, but as far as actually talking, this is our first opportunity. So that might mean that this is going to be like a 7-hour Carnivortex. So I apologize. I know the algorithm is going to hate it. I'm going to lose subscribers. All of my millions of folks that are following me, they're going to fall off, but it's okay because we're going to have fun. Amy, you said a ton of things in there that I want to talk about. But before I forget, I guess I need to introduce today's topic. So for my show, I just pull out a topic from the deep, dark recesses of my brain. And I know that sounds scary. This one, I promise you, is not scary. There have been some scary topics, I will admit, but this one is not because it totally fits. And when I say this, I just want you to take it wherever you want it to go. So today's topic is Rockin It.
Oh gosh, yes. So, wow, this could mean a lot of things to a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? And I know in this space, let me just say, in this space, I see a lot of people who maybe are down on themselves and don't think they're making progress, or the scale's not, let's say the scale's not moving is a big one. Okay. And for me right now too, I have gained some weight, right? Because I recently was diagnosed with hypothyroidism, which I was very frustrated because when I first went carnivore this summer, I started to gain weight. I'm one of these people that started to gain weight. And I know Bella, Steak and Butter Gal, is one of those. Kelly Hogan gained weight when she first started. And for all of those people out there who feel that they're not being successful just because the scale isn't moving, let me tell you, so many things are improving, okay? My brain, like I was with the hypothyroidism, my brain wasn't functioning at its best potential. And the minute I went carnivore, within 2 weeks, the brain fog, even with the hypothyroidism, started to clear. My hair, I was losing hair because I was on a medication for migraines that makes your hair fall out, and it took me a year to figure that out. So my hair was thinning. I'm gonna be 50 in a month. And does this look like I'm losing does this look like I'm losing hair? So there are many ways that you can rock it without the scale moving, right? So hair thicker, brain fog, energy levels going up. My message to people is you have to celebrate the wins. Like, don't focus on one thing. I've never really had depression, or I have had anxiety, but never really depression, except for one point in my life. And that's when I had trigeminal neuralgia, which is, I'm not going to say that word, but it's like one of the worst pain disorders you can have. I don't think we can say the S word it's called the S disease. I'll just call it that. That's what it's named. And that depression was only short-lived while I had that disease, right? Because it was so awful. But for all those people out there that struggle with depression and anxiety, I'm telling you, there's so many things to be happy about and thankful for. And I've read so many stories, not mine, but I've read so many stories out there of people whose anxiety and depression got better because of being on a carnivore, even low carb ketogenic diet helps with that. So rocking it, there's so many wins that an individual can have on this lifestyle, and I just want to proclaim it to the world. Just because the scale isn't moving, and maybe the scale is going in the other direction, like in my case, but I feel so much better. There's so many things to celebrate with that. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? That's
I
my message for rocking it. You can rock it in so many different ways.
Yes. Oh, I love it. And I am totally with you because I think we just get so focused on, especially the scale, because that's what we've been taught. I'm a little bit older than you are, but still Gen Xer, it's like all about what is that number? How low can you go? And that is just a scale is an arbitrary number and it doesn't measure anything. It does not measure your worth. It doesn't measure,
Mhm.
it's just a number. And I think it's too easy to get focused on those things and not just the scale. Maybe it's something else that you're like, oh, okay, I want to be this size, or I want all of these external things that we get hung up on just hold us back instead of focusing on, like you were saying, oh my gosh, your mind woke up, your brain fog is gone, you feel great, your hair is awesome, which by the way, it is totally awesome. I'm loving your hair. I love hair. Just have to say that. Um,
Too.
it's great. Maybe it's an 80s thing.
Yes, yeah, so I love the 80s. Yeah, I still try to have as much as I can of that 80s hair without looking like an 80s hair person.
hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I refuse to believe there's nearly 4 decades between the 80s and now. I guess there really are, depending on where you are. That is so unheard of, but I digress. But just talking about the rocking it seems to me like I know you're going through these coaching programs and I'm also a coach, but you have a natural gift for that. So what made you decide that, hey, you know, this is something that I want to do?
So early on in my journey, I lost 110 pounds. At first, people saw me, and I lost 60 of it very quickly within 6 months. But that ties into my story with hip surgery. I had a reason. I was going to be on crutches for a long time, and I didn't want to be pushing 300 pounds and trying to crutch around the house, right? So I really had like a goal to try to lose as much weight as possible before surgery. So I did it. I'd lost a lot. I didn't do it probably in the best way. I was keto, but I was low fat keto. So I wouldn't recommend that to anybody trying to lose weight. But early on, at first, people were like, do you have cancer? Are you sick? I got all those stories because I had been heavy for so long, and then all of a sudden I was not heavy. And then there were those people where and this happens, people are judgmental and not nice about it and stuff like that. Then over time, that morphed into I was getting text messages, "Can you help me? I need help. What are you doing?" And so, like, I was getting 10 text messages a day from people asking for help. And so that kind of fueled this passion. And I'm like, I can't sit here and do my job and respond to all these text messages from my family and friends. So I started a Facebook group. This was several years ago, 4 or 5 years. This was in 2021 because that was in response to all the text messages. I'm like, I got to just post things in one place and not be on my phone answering text messages all day. So I started the Keto Rockstars Facebook group. And that's what was and I'm like, I can help people. I can post recipes here. I can post what I'm doing. So this early on in my journey, I'm like, how can I help people for free? How can I just help people? It's never been about money for me. It's never been about money. And so that's how that got started. And so I've had a passion. I've always known I wanted to be a health coach. And within the last few years, I was struggling on which coaching program to sign up with. There's several out there. Not all of them are even a ketogenic. Not all of them, the board certified ones are not ketogenic even, I don't think. So I talked about it. I talked about going through them just to get the piece of paper and then teach what I know, right? I just wanted the piece of paper. Then this summer, as we know, well, let me back up a little bit. I went to Ketopalooza in 2024. I spent considerable time talking to Coach Alyssa, who is Dr. Barry's right-hand person. And she was like, you can just go be a health coach. You don't even need a piece of paper. And so I've been thinking about that in the back of my head. And I'm like, oh, I just want a piece of paper saying that I know what I'm doing, kind of thing. So she said, I can't tell you what, but something big is coming down the pipe. So I sat on it for a bit. And this summer, Dr. Barry came out and introduced that they were launching the PhD health. And I knew it didn't matter what the price was, and it's not cheap, but it's cheaper than some of the other programs out there. And I knew they gave us like 7 days to sign up for this and make the payment. So I was like, I don't care. I'm doing it. I had to get my husband's buy-in a little bit because he is on a ketogenic diet, but this is a household decision, so I got him to buy into that, and within 7 days, I had signed up for that course. And I don't know if you watch Dr. Kiltz or not, but I went on for an interview, and at the very end of the interview, he, like, surprised me with, "By the way, you're in our coaching program." So, I was considering taking his coaching program, but I really didn't wanna take 2 coaching programs at once because I work a full-time job. I sing in 2 choral programs, so that there's rehearsals. I take care of a 94-year-old in a nursing home with dementia. My parents hate this, but my 80-year-old parents live next door. There's not much to take care of there because they're pretty self-sufficient, but, I like to spend time with them. So there's a lot going on, right? There's a lot going on in this life. So one coaching program was enough, but honestly, when you are on carnivore, you are able, in my mind, to accomplish what seems like the impossible. Like, some nights I just want to stay up and keep going and keep doing stuff and keep checking the boxes off and not go to bed. And my friend Juliet, I don't know if you know Juliet Edens, but she's like a big mentor to me. She's like, Amy, go to bed. She told me last night, go to bed. Like her and we talk on a constant basis, and she has to tell me sometimes to shut down. And I'm going from somebody who was just in this state of I couldn't move, I couldn't get out of bed. Some mornings I couldn't get out of bed, and now I can't go to bed, right? Because I want to get so much done. It's just amazing. So that's kind of how I got started in the coaching. I've always wanted to help people, but it's like I'm a firm believer that the answers will present themselves. The answers that you are asking, they may not be when you want. And I'm a religious person, so I think everything comes in to play for a reason, and it has worked out that way for me. Like, I've had these questions, I didn't jump on it, and when the time was right, the answers were presented right in front of me, and it's so exciting how it all unfolds. I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are on that or how you became a coach.
So, yeah, wow, so much there, and I love it. I love your passion and energy, and I feel the same way. I'm a total nerd. I can't take too many courses. I just wanna do it forever. So, actually, I am a board certified health and wellness coach, so I did that a couple of years ago prior to knowing anything about carnivore at all, and I was working a corporate job. I took that course at night, and which was a little bit rough. It's pretty rigorous. And the interesting thing about that, I started it because of my own health journey, and I have a long history of autoimmune and all of that. And I was just really trying to understand things better. Had no idea what I was going to do with it. The most interesting thing and the biggest thing that I learned were all the things about myself because in a coaching program, you're doing practicums, you're the coach, you're the client. And when I was the client, the things that I heard myself say, what came out of my mouth, I just, I had no idea. And I realized I was not living in alignment with my purpose. That was the bottom line. I had a great corporate job. I love my job. I've been with the same company 29 years. Everything was awesome. I worked a lot and it was stressful, but it was good. And I realized that, you know what? This isn't what I'm designed to do. And so it was a grieving period. I ended up retiring, not quite old enough to retire with any money there. And then just kind of launched on a self exploration journey, thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. And then I did keto adapted, the Emmerich's program. I got certified there. I'm certified in functional nutrition through Mind Body Green. I did Kiltz health coaching program. I'm currently on the Nutrition Network practitioner pathways. I got all this stuff, but I'm so excited to continue to learn. And the more I learned about me and the more I learned, like every time I talk to somebody, whether they're a client or not, I learned something and it is just so amazing. So that's me. Just did you learn stuff about yourself that you didn't realize going through the coaching?
So, like, in the coaching programs, we had to do, like, role play but it was kinda real, with other coaches who were learning so that we get practice. And during that time, I learned a lot about what I'm doing, and I learned that what I'm teaching isn't necessarily what I'm doing, like the sleep. I need better sleep. I need to go to bed earlier. I need to get more sunlight. I need more exercise. And here I am gonna be teaching people to do these things, and this is something that I need to work on myself. So when clients come to me and they're like, we talk about exercise or we talk about, are you getting good sleep? It's like, yeah, I'm in that bucket too because I'm trying to get too much done and so I don't get proper sleep. So yeah, I've learned a lot and I'm still working on those things. And I think once I get through these courses too, that will be easier. I won't be up late studying and whatnot. But yes, for sure, I learned a lot about myself. And coaching, let me just say, coaching is not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be what I've been doing up till now, which is presenting a plan. This is how to go low carb ketogenic. It's kind of like Dr. Barry's 101 playlist. Remove the seed oils, remove pasta, grains, bread. Look for big words on cans and boxes and make sure there's no big words you don't understand when you're picking your foods. I had these plans that I was providing to people and that you just explain to them what to do. That is not what coaching is at all. It is more like letting people get things off their chest and listening to them and helping them discover about themselves what they don't know, what is holding them up. Yes, is there information that you can provide about the food and everything? Yes. But it is not what I thought it was going to be. And I'm so glad I just didn't try to do coaching on my own because I would have been a terrible coach. I've learned, and I'm a talker. And so one of the biggest things that I've discovered and that I've learned to do, and I think interviewing people on YouTube has helped with this too, you have to listen. You have to let people talk. You have to shut up. Sorry, you have to be quiet and just let people talk and listen to them, right? And a lot of times they will hear themselves talk and they will make self-discoveries about themselves. So I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is what being a good coach is. And I hope when I get started, I'm a little nervous about taking that first client, right? And I think everybody is. I think everybody. So if you have any advice about taking the first client and just jumping into that, I think that's my biggest hurdle, my biggest fear. Well, and the business stuff. I'm not real jazzed about the business side of it, which I've jumped through a few hurdles during these blizzards that we've had. I've been able to make some few phone calls and get my LLC started and everything like that. But I think just taking that first client and I'm a pretty confident person, but I think my confidence until I take the first clients probably is just a little bit lower than it normally is. So if you have any advice on that from
Well,
one
and
coach to another.
I think it is intimidating. And I think there's a little bit of that. We have this imposter syndrome where we think, oh my gosh, we're comfortable working, we're doing all this stuff, but are we really a coach? Do we know enough? Can we help somebody? I think all of that. But the answer is a resounding yes. And just, I
Yes.
mean, what I know about your story and what you've shared here and the things that you've been through, and the fact that, you know what, your sleep isn't perfect, that is an asset because you're real. You have to be real as a
Mhm.
coach. It's like if you have
Yep.
all the answers, which, like you were talking about, being a coach isn't telling somebody the answers, it's not telling somebody what to do, it's helping them discover what they want to do. And the first thing I always ask a new client is, what does health mean to you? And that's after they've told me why they want talking to them.
Yep.
Why do you want to do this? I'm gonna say 9 times out of 10, weight loss is probably at the top.
I was
Everybody
gonna ask that.
Yeah, that's the first thing. So I'm like, "Okay, cool. So tell me what health means to you." And almost always, the answer doesn't necessarily include weight loss at the top. It's like, "Well, I wanna be there for my family. I wanna have more energy. I wanted to." And so it's kind of like, well, not that weight loss isn't important, but what I'm understanding is that health means so much more. And I think if you can start from that place and really find out what does health mean and help them get their weight loss as a side effect. Again,
Right.
like we talked about, the
Exactly.
scale's not everything. And you were talking about listening. So going through NBC, HWC, one of the things, the acronym WAIT, which is why am I talking? So I have to, for me, a lot, I'm like, oh, yeah, I need to shut up now and let somebody
Yep.
talk. I think the thing about coaching is you just got to be real and connect, and your heart shines through, your passion shines through. I have no doubt that you're going to hit the ground running, and just oh, that's my first
Uh-huh.
client, and getting through all of the LLC and the liability and the stuff
Yeah,
they scare you to death with and all of that. And just once you're in there, you'd be like, this is so much fun. Why didn't I do
I
this
know.
earlier?
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Now, the other thing that, you know, worries me that I'm not okay, so we get the sciencey people on, right? We get the sciencey people on, and while I do like science, I don't focus or understand or memorize all of the science, like the glycocalyx, as Dr. Kiltz says, and this and that. And I'm like, what is that? Sugar. You want I know, like the sciencey stuff freaks me out a little bit, but I don't feel like I have to understand the nitty gritty of it all. What I have to understand is experience, what I've been through, what the stories I've heard other people have been through. Leave the science and stuff for the scientists and the doctors and just send them material explaining it if they want to know the science. There's so much material out there. I don't feel like I have to understand every little biological system that happens in our bodies, right? Now, I did buy this book, Ketogenic, I think it was that Dr. Nelson recommended. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah, that's
if
the
you
big
do have it too.
yeah, the big
I opened it,
ketogenic
I'm like,
test.
oh my gosh, I'm back in college. This is like a very technical,
Got
sciencey
it.
book, but You have it. Yeah, I don't know where mine is.
Yeah,
I
this
don't know
one.
where mine
Yeah, this is
that
kind
one,
of a
yeah, that
scary
one.
book. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
intense. That
It's I don't think it's a book you would read cover to cover, but I feel like it's gonna be a reference guide for me if someone does ask a sciencey question that I could get the studies. There's a lot of studies in there that I really like that you can go and get and send to people. So what I plan on doing is building a database on my own of research in OneNote. So when someone asks a question about my cholesterol, or when someone asks a question about hypothyroidism, which I'm learning about because I now have this and I knew surface about it, or hormones, and I also have, of course, they're making us read this one, Common Sense
that's a
Labs and
really
Dr.
good book
Berry,
too.
which is very good, yes. Of course, we're not doctors or medical professionals, right? So we can't give medical advice, but we can send them information. So one of my goals is to build my own database of research. And so I don't have to know the scientific glycocalyx and what all these big words like Dr. Kiltz uses that freaks me out. Do I have to memorize this stuff? Is this on the final exam? Like, do I have to know? Like, I know, but they're doing it for us. So we can just send them, we can make references of the information. And as people ask these questions, we don't always have to have the answer. But what I primarily feel my strengths are in lifestyle, what to eat, recipes, my experience, how to interact with your doctor, right? To not freak them out because I've done that. I've said all the wrong things and I freaked the doctors out, so they want to put me on a statin and everything. I've done all the things so I've learned from that. Like, how could I reframe what I'm saying to my doctor so they don't feel like I'm being combative? Those type of things. The life experience being ketogenic, now carnivore for 8 years, I think the mistakes that I've made are probably I'm glad I made them because now I can help someone else, like, maybe, okay, reframe what you're saying to your family when they're not on board with you. There's a lot of things that we've been through living this lifestyle for so long that we've made mistakes. We're not perfect. We're human beings, like you said, and just being real, I think allows us to connect with our clients and just people in general. Not everybody I interact with is going to be a client, right? But that doesn't mean that I can't throw some advice their way and help them along in their journeys too. So I'm very passionate, like you said, about this. I'm so excited to get started. And I hate the fact that as health coaches, we have to charge money, but unfortunately, the business side of it, it costs money. So I'm coming to terms with that. Juliet has helped me a lot with that because she says, you undercharge for everything. I don't know if you've seen the Avengers that I do,
Yes, I've
the
seen just
Avenger
a
videos.
couple of clips. Yes.
Yeah, so I wanna do everything for free, but the cost of those AI programs is just ridiculous expensive. So I have people have given me money and I appreciate that, and I do give them away for free too. So I think there's ways that we can take serious clients on and charge them and then also still provide little nuggets of help to those people for free who just maybe can't afford coaching or whatever. There's ways we can do it all, I think. And
Yes.
I think finding those pathways is important too. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Oh,
I know
comments
there's
on
so much
all of
I
that.
spew
No,
out.
this is awesome. Yes, and I agree, and I've seen people pro bono and yeah, all of that. I wanna go back to the science. We can look up the what, and yes, it's great to have that background, and like I said, I'm a huge nerd and I wanna know it all, but there's so much information out there,
Mhm.
and if you have a client that comes to you and asks you about the glycocalyx up front, that's gonna be an anomaly. Like, I don't think that's gonna happen. But you know what? That stuff can be looked up, and if you don't know, hey, we'll figure it out. But
Right.
what they need is the how. And that's what,
Mhm.
as a
Yeah.
coach, that's what you're saying. You've been there. You know what it's like to lose 110 pounds. You know what it's like to go through hypothyroidism. You know what it's like for life to be challenging, and you got people to take care of and aging parents and a job and all of that. That's what people need help with. And most of the time, they, especially women, men to some extent also, They've spent their whole lives taking care of everybody else. They are not even aware of what they need. And if they are starting to think, oh, I need to do something, it's like, where do they even start? How? How do
Yeah.
we do this? How am I going to fit this into my life? And so, a coach who has been there, who can recognize what they're going through and guide them through it, to me, that's invaluable. You cannot put a price tag on that.
Thank you. Well, and another important thing, and I think this is going to be part of my coaching, well, two things, my coaching focus. Time management. Time management is going to be a big part because I hear so many people talk about they don't have time. They just don't have time to start this. They don't have time to think about it. And I am a living example that every minute, I'm not a morning person, but here I got up at 5:30 because this is important to me. This is important to me to be on people's channels and to talk about this. So helping people figure out where maybe they can rearrange their time to make this a priority. And a lot of people do this and they don't even realize it. Your phone and they're doom scrolling and they don't realize how much they're on that. And the other thing is meal prep. I am the meal prep queen. Like I pick a day, even if it's just an hour. Sometimes I've been known to do it at midnight just because we needed food the next day, right? Meal prep, I think, is key. If you can do that, if you can. Now, some people, like you mentioned, autoimmune issues. I don't know if you have to eat your steak fresh, if you've got the issue with the aged beef or whatever. So like, but people can meal prep. I want to teach people how to do that and plan your meals for the week because there's days I don't have time to cook. So I have to do the meal prep in advance. My husband doesn't really do the cooking and he gets off work at 2 p.m. and he wants to come home and eat. He gets up at 3 a.m. So I don't have to, but I do. He doesn't force me to cook for him, but that's just my contribution to the marriage. I make sure there's a plate of meal in there that he can just come out and it's ketogenic, that he can just come out and cook in the microwave and it's ready for him. So meal prep, I'm going to focus on teaching people how to do that. I think people hate this, but from time to time we need to track, right? We need to track our foods. I'm an IT specialist by trade. My degree is in information technology. I have apps for shopping. If people can't afford this lifestyle, I have apps on how to find the best deals at the best grocery stores in your zip code. I have apps for tracking your food. And so I also have that to offer. I can teach people the technology that helps them do this lifestyle. So those are the things that I would like to bring to the table is the technology piece, the time management piece. I have lists. And a lot of this is because of, I want to say, menopause and the hypothyroidism, right? My brain can't stay like, what was I going to do? I walk into the room. What was I coming in here to get? So I use a list just on the phone app. I have an iPhone. They have lists in there. So I write down the things I want to get accomplished. And as I do, I check them off. And so I want to help people learn how to manage that. Like that way they don't feel like they're failing and they're not getting things done. And the other piece of it, I think, is what happens when they do something off plan. Forget about it. It's a learning experience. Let's talk about what happened after you did that thing. For me, I truly believe, and I know you said you have autoimmune, I truly believe I'm on the autoimmune spectrum, even though hypo is the only thing I've been diagnosed with. I can't touch gluten. The minute I touch gluten, I can't walk for 2 weeks. I can't walk for 2 weeks. My hips, my joints just inflamed. I also am very allergic to new medications. I just went through a scare taking Armour thyroid. I can't take it. So I have to go back to the doctor and figure out what we're going to do next, if anything. But anytime I take a new medication, it's whatever the side effects are, I'm going to get them. I also suspect I'm on some sort of autoimmune spectrum that just isn't diagnosed just because I'm allergic to everything, whether it's even meat. Sometimes I feel like even when I eat meat, So I've often wondered, and Juliet and I have talked about this, about the mast cell
That's
syndrome.
what I was thinking, MCAS. That's immediately what comes
Yeah.
to mind.
And that scares me because I do like the meal prep. So, like, I can't just run to a butcher and get a freshly killed cow every day. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to manage that with time and still be able to eat. I find I feel my best when I don't eat at all. When I go 24 hours and I just fast, I feel my best. So I sometimes wonder if even, and they say go lion diet. I should probably try lion diet. I haven't done that because I love eggs so much. I eat probably 10 eggs a day. And I'm probably allergic to the whites, and I just haven't figured that out yet either. I do love my eggs so much that everyone's, let's go lion diet in January. I'm like,
Yeah,
I
I
think
feel you on that. I love my eggs.
I
And
just want to eat my eggs. So
well,
yeah.
and I will say about the lion diet, because 'cause I've done it a couple of times. For me personally, I had a hard time with that. I think that I either did it too lean, or if I
Hmm.
tried to add a bunch of tallow to things, that was kinda weird, but I think just the varied nutrients for me were a good thing. And
Hmm.
we're talking about MCAS because it sounds like you have sensitivities. So if you think about that histamine bucket, the fuller it gets, then it spills out.
Hmm.
But there are things you can do without having to go kill a cow every day. You can still meal prep. And if you pull something out of the freezer and stick in the air fryer, a lot of people
Yeah.
have better success with that. Are you familiar with Lynn DeVokie, Midlife Carnivore?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
she's amazing, and on her channel, she has if you go to Midlife Carnivore and type in histamine, she's got a great
I
video on that.
I need to watch that because this has just come into my brain recently. I've always known about the gluten because after I went ketogenic, there was a story, my sister-in-law, this was during 2020, so you know when that was, but she was in another state and she was dying. And we drove to and from Ohio to visit her for what we knew was the last time. And on the way home, my husband was like, "Do you just want to go get a pizza?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I cheated and we got a pizza and some breadsticks. And let me tell you, that was the precise moment I knew I can't have anything with gluten in it. I just can't. It was gluten. It was gluten all these years that caused my severe asthma, my eczema, joint pain, all the stuff. So actually, that was really good that that happened, that we cheated that one time. And I learned so much from that experience that I'm like, I can't ever do this again. It's too much. And so I think there's other things and I'm gonna coach people on this, especially those who appear to be similar to me, to make a journal of green foods, red foods, foods that and I do feel so much better on carnivore, I do. But there's still a little bit of, like, joint pain. Now, some of it could be oxalate dumping because I had this weird knee pain that started after I went carnivore. I'm like, "Why is this happening?" I didn't have this knee pain before. Some of it could be the hypothyroidism too causing that pain. It could be menopause, but it's pretty much gone now. Like it's gone. It's better. I don't feel it at all. So I think that there's some truth to the oxalate dumping, like when you release all of these toxins and chemicals. I don't know how you feel about that, but yeah, there's a lot I could do meal prep. Some people take their steaks from frozen and just chuck them in the air fryer and voila, your meal is done in what, 15, 20 minutes or 10 minutes or however long it takes to cook a frozen steak. I haven't done that yet. It's something I'd be willing to try.
Oxalate dumping is a real thing, and I think that it presents in different ways for different people. One thing for me, and this is kinda gross, but I had all this plaque on my teeth all of a sudden. And I had no idea that that's what it was. My hygienist was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm still doing everything. I floss, I'm brushing my teeth." And for a while, it was just really bad. So there are so many different ways that it can happen. And again, we're women, we're busy, menopause, who knows what causes everything. But I think that it's great that you get people to reflect on what they eat or do a food and mood. How did it make you feel? And not just, oh, I ate this and this many calories. Well, Hello, Sheldon. Would you like to come in and make sure that
Sheldon.
this is going well? Yeah, this is Sheldon, and Sheldon is my carb addicted cat. Now, I do not feed the high fat cats carbs. And by the way, high fat cats are just a fun name. They eat meat, they're not just eating fat. But this is the one that if my husband, who is not carnivore, mainly animal based, is eating chips, tortilla chips, anything like that, this one is up there trying to get his head in the bag. The other two are chasing after my eggs and my steak. He wants the carbs. So he's here to represent all of those who are not fully carnivore.
Can I ask you a cat question? Because my cats are not carnivore. What you make their own meat for them, right?
I actually don't. So I have looked into that, and this is what I found because I went carnivore. I was like, okay, I'm going to do the whole raw thing. What I found out is that there's some things that need to be added, like taurine and
Taurine?
different
Yes,
things.
that was my question.
Yeah, and I
Taurine.
was just not comfortable doing that. So I don't know if you know Christy at Meeting Wellness. She's
Yes.
awesome. And her cat Pixel is featured in a lot of her videos. So we're friends and we were talking about what she fed Pixel. So originally, and this is horrible, terrible, I fed my cats kibble. It was expensive kibble for a lot of years. So I transitioned them over to a wet food called Reveal, which is very clean. So that's what they eat. But I would love to find a raw food that was affordable. And these three chow hounds, they eat a ton. And if I could
Mhm.
get comfortable supplementing the nutrients, I looked into getting a meat grinder. So I'm not going to say that that's not something I will do, but at this point, that's kind of what I'm feeding them. Occasionally, they get a little bit of kibble, but primarily focused on that. But it's tough.
And that's the thing, I'm like, I'm struggled just to keep myself and my husband on plan, let alone 4 cats. And I'm like, everyone's like, "Are your cats carnivore?" I'm like, "No." And the other thing is, we had a cat who had crystals when he was little. We put him on this very expensive Royal I wanna say Royal Canin urinary tract, and they all eat it. They do eat kibble, but we give them more wet food than kibble because I think the wet food is just better, maybe. And they've lived to be 20 years old, 18, 19, 20. So I'm like, okay, I don't feel so bad. It's not like they're dying at 10, 12 years old from weird diseases, right? So I haven't quite switched them over because they are living, in my opinion, healthy, long lives, and they all eat the same things. And my youngest cat died at 15, but they are all, my last cat died at 20. So I'm like, okay, so maybe what we're feeding them isn't too bad on the scale of things. Maybe what we're doing is okay. I know it could be better. We could grind our own meat, add taurine, but I'm like, with everything I got going on, I'm like, I just can't wrap my brain around that right now. I just can't meal prep for 4 cats and meal prep for us too. I just
No,
can't.
I
Too much.
understand. And that's a good point. Just in life, we have to do what we're able to do. And there's always something. We could always be healthier, sleep more, exercise more, do this.
Right.
And I think the danger is for us to go, okay, well, yeah, okay, now we're here, but oh, now we should be here and to never stop and celebrate like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, we're midlife women and we're rocking it. There's a lot
Yes.
of awesome things. And I think that we sell ourselves short, that we don't recognize, hey, look at all this good stuff because it's so easy to get focused on the negative. And plus, we live in a capitalist society, which is awesome, but it also means they're marketing everything to us that we
Yep.
need to do this. We got to be better. We got to have this. We just need this. And
And we don't. We
we
don't. We
don't.
just keep it simple. Keep it simple. And there's something you brought up. So when I first started getting on social media, I had this thing in my brain that I had to be perfect. I couldn't have any, like, any setbacks, my makeup had to be perfect. Everything had to be perfect. I couldn't ever talk about any struggles that I was having because I had to be perfect on camera. Otherwise, people were going to think that this way of life doesn't work, right? That was a mental thing in my brain, but I'm coming to find out that that's not what people need to hear necessarily. They don't wanna see someone perfect. It's good to share our struggles because then people identify with that and they're like, "Look, even she's lost 110 pounds, but even she struggles." So maybe it's not me, maybe I've come to change my train of thought on this, that you don't have to be perfect when you turn a camera on or take a picture. You don't have to be perfect. And that's something that I've come to learn, that a lot of people, even on Facebook and stuff, people post their perfect lives. Life isn't perfect. It's messy, right? And it's
Mhm.
okay to talk about that. Even if we're health coaches or we're trying to help others, maybe someone will identify with that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going through that too. And this is what she did. So that's one thing that I've really learned about myself, that and I've turned on the camera now with no makeup, and at 5 a.m. in the morning when I'm drinking barium to go have a scan done and stuff, and I still have my headband on and I look terrible. It's okay to do that. People wanna see that. They wanna see that you're a real person and not just fake with a filter, right? So,
Yes.
I don't know, that's one thing I've really learned. So, I think that's a positive thing, and I think that will help me connect with people better.
Oh, definitely. So many things you're doing. You're very real. You're giving people real practical tips on, hey, how do I make these meals? What do I do? And how to fit things into life. Cause I think that's important too. Cause you got so many things to do. It's like, how do you fit some healthy habits? Maybe I need to exercise. I don't have time. I'm going to devote all this time to exercise. Well, while my coffee's brewing, do some
Mhm.
squats, do some 45 seconds while that happens. Just kind of work those things in, that it doesn't have to be this complete, now I've got to spend all this time doing all this food and exercise, and I've got to do all this stuff that I don't have time for to begin with.
No, that's overwhelming. People get overwhelmed. So I'm also a proponent of baby steps, because sometimes there are certain people that are all in. And then there's certain people that are, if you need to do 20 things, which is what I was going to do originally as a health coach, right? That was my original plan. I'm not anymore, but sometimes you just got to break them into habits a little at a time, depending on their personality. Oh, cute kitty.
Yeah. Speaking of personality, hello. Are you just not happy about this morning? In different programs, we're going to have some SMART goals. There are some people that a goal is just going to waylay them. It's just one more
Yeah.
thing. And so to me, you don't have to have it. Let's, like you said, let's have small steps. Let's pick something and
Yep.
build on that. And I just think being listened to, how many people actually listen? That could be the best thing a health coach does, is just actually listen and validate what somebody is
What they're
going
going
through.
through. And, I think the experience of, no matter how hard I carnivored, I still gain weight. "You're not carnivoring hard enough." How many people have heard that? "You're not doing it hard enough." I'm like, "Let me tell you, I have lost 110 pounds. I love Maria Emmerich, by the way. Her and I personally met. She's instrumental in my journey. I did do the protein sparing modified fasting for 4 years because that's something I learned. And that broke me through a weight loss stall, but that is also low fat, right?
Mhm.
So as my journey has evolved, I've stopped doing the protein sparing modified fasting because I think I need a little more fat now, where I'm at with menopause and hypo and everything. But she is near and dear to my heart. We've met in person. She shared my story on her page. I did not go through her coaching program. For whatever reason, I just couldn't pull the trigger on that. Her and Dr. Barry are the two people I think that are instrumental in getting me into the space. But I love her so much. I just really do. She's a special person to me, and she's instrumental in my story. So I followed her protein experiment. It broke me through a 2-year stall. I lost like 20 or 30 more pounds, but I'm just kind of on a different journey now with fat. You know, I'm I think there's a sweet spot. I think there's a sweet spot for fat, and I think once I get the hypothyroidism figured out, which that is my current struggle, personally, I will be checking all the boxes and meeting all the goals. As we age, it's a constant thing. There's going to be, even as a carnivore, there's going to be things that pop up. Carnivore doesn't heal. It heals a lot, let me tell you. But it doesn't, eventually we're all going to end up with the same fate, as Dr. Kiltz says. It's just how well are we going to feel? How well do we want to feel while we're on this journey, right? So that's like a message that I have to everybody. We're all going to end up at the same place, hopefully. And it's just how our journey is going to look to get there, you know?
Yes, 1 out of 1 people die, last I checked. But it
I
is
love
about
it.
the journey, and the thing about it is, and this is a frustrating thing, but it's true, it's like once we have it figured out, it's like, "Okay, I got it. I know these are my macros, this is how much fat I'm eating,"
Right.
and then something in your body changes. Hello.
Yep.
That's just
Yep.
life, and that's how it is, and honestly, if everything were perfect, we would be so bored. We honestly would be
Right.
bored. That
Right. 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 Yes.
So, Amy,
Absolutely.
what made you decide to go carnivore? You talked about being low carb keto for almost 8 years, and then what was the
Uh-huh.
impetus for you to go all meat?
So I had been successful on a ketogenic diet. As a matter of fact, when I was doing protein sparing, I did protein sparing modified fasting for 4 years. My weight was 153 consistently for 4 years. I would do 1 to 3 days a week, PSMF, and I was like doing great. Something changed. This year there was a lot of stress. We had a lot of storms. Some trees fell in my parents' house, just nearly missing their house. We had a storm and some trees fell, almost wiped out our house. Then my brother called and he had a work accident. He was ambulanced from one county to the other because he sliced open his leg and sliced open or his arm and sliced open his artery. And I'm the only one he called. So I immediately went with him to the emergency room and I was there and I saw everything. So that it was like within a week, all the stuff happened. And I was already starting to feel my energy was tanking, right? Probably from hypothyroidism and menopause. That week happened and there were days I felt paralyzed. Like I was trying to get up for work in the morning and my brain was telling my body I gotta move, but I couldn't move my arms. Like I couldn't move. I was paralyzed. That's the only way that I can. I was walking around like I felt like I was gonna collapse. And I'm like, what is going on? This is not right. Something's off. And so all of the carnivores say, the energy, right? The energy, this crazy energy. I'm like, man, I love my vegetables and I still love my vegetables, right? I particularly love cabbage, asparagus, and salads. Like I just love crunch. So I have eaten a little bit of kimchi, which is fermented, right? I have had a
Oh,
little bit of that.
no.
I have my own, yeah, call the carnivore police. Not very much, but just, occasionally when I really want a vegetable, that's what I do. But so in July, I said, this is it. I got to do 30 days. I got to just try it for 30 days. If I don't like it, I also will tell you, I was an occasional social drinker. It was low carb seltzers, right? But I would occasionally, I wouldn't sit at home and just drink, but if we went out and friends were drinking, I would get a White Claw or something, right? Well, I'm like, okay, I got to go no alcohol, no vegetables, and honestly, no cheese. No cheese.
So
And
sad,
that's my
isn't it?
favorite food. It still is. I've been trying still not to do cheese. I'll tell you about that incident in a moment. So within 2 weeks, it's like I call it the hallway. Like my paralyzation would go this way and the energy would go this way. Like I felt energy walking towards me as the fatigue was walking away and it did get a lot better. I wouldn't say it's 100%, probably because of hypothyroidism. It just until I get that figured out, it's not going to be perfect, but it got, I want to say 75 to 80% better. So I continued on another 30 days and another 30 days. And the dairy kind of came in because I call it the great cheese incident in 2025. I had a hernia, an inguinal hernia. And if you know George, he calls me his inguinal hernia sister. But in October, I had hernia surgery and they kept trying to feed me in the OR. They're like, you got to eat something. We got to give you this medication. And so they gave me a bite of applesauce. They're like, well, it's no sugar. I'm like, no, but I took it just to shut them up, right? I said, "But I'm only doing 1 bite," is what I said, because 'Cause they're trying to give me crackers. I'm like, "Absolutely not." And finally, we got into the recovery room, and they're like, "How about a stick of cheese?" And my eyes lit up. I'm like, "Yes, give me the cheese. I love cheese." And I hadn't had cheese since July. This was October. Let me tell you, I went home and I was on pain meds, and I'm like, I started eating cheese every day, like just cutting it off and eating it like it was a snack. And so I call that the great cheese incident of 2025. That got me re-addicted to cheese. And now I'm trying only to eat it occasionally when I do a recipe that calls for cheese. It's not like I'm slathering the cheese all over the eggs and the hamburgers anymore. I'm not doing that. I'm using butter instead. But cheese is my weakness. I could probably just go on an all cheese diet, and when I eat cheese, I feel so good, honestly, like the queso morphine's in it. It's like a drug for my brain. I feel so amazing, but I just know it's probably tanking progress for me, so I try not to do it. So, yes, so that was my carnivore story that this year I just felt like I was gonna collapse, and this last year, and all the stories people talk about the energy is what really 7 to 8 years on keto, and then why do carnivore now? That was why. And now, maybe I'll eat an occasional vegetable, maybe once or twice a year, maybe. But no, I feel so much better. I think this is for me, right? I think this is for me, for sure. So that's what did it.
Oh, I absolutely love your hallway analogy. That is just
It
really
just
cool. I
like this,
just
the fatigue was walking this way down the hallway, and the energy, it kept getting closer and closer to me. That's the only way I can explain it. I don't know why that popped in my head, but one was walking away and one was walking, and it was gradual. It wasn't like this light bulb moment, but it's like every day I woke up, I'm like, I feel a little better. I feel a little better. I feel a little better. And now I don't want to sit down. My husband hates it because I don't want to sit there and watch TV with him anymore. I want to just go do stuff, right? There's stuff on my list. I just want to check them off.
well, and that's super important to realize. You're talking about gradually you're walking in that hallway and things are changing. That's how most things are. And I know I would love to wake up and just like have a switch on the wall, like, whoo, I'm carnivore and everything is better and my whole
Yeah.
life is awesome. And it doesn't work like that. It is that
No,
gradual shift. And I think, again, paying attention to your body, to how you feel is so important because
it
then
is.
you see that and it's those wins and, damn the scale. Can I say that? It's my channel. I can say that.
Yeah. Yes.
Uh, but okay, Amy, and I know in the interest of time, like I could talk to you
Yes.
forever. There's a question that I like to ask my guests, and
Hmm.
you've been interviewed a bunch of times and you've conducted a bunch of interviews. But is there a question that you wish someone had asked you?
Ooh, oh my gosh. A question I wish somebody asked me. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that one. Okay, so here's a question that I ask people because I think it's important to be real about this. And nobody ever asks me this, but this is one of the questions I sometimes ask. Are there any drawbacks or setbacks that you have found living this lifestyle? So I think it's a tough question, and I don't think a lot of people ask that, but I ask that just because. And a lot of people say no. Some people say, like me, I love vegetables. I really do. Like, even people say, well, vegetables are disgusting unless you slather them in ranch or butter, right? And I'm like, no, I would make a salad and I would take a piece of lettuce and I would eat it raw. I actually do like just raw vegetables. And I think asking the tough questions, like, is there anything that's negative that you find about carnivore or keto or whatever? I don't know if I have an answer to that other than maybe, yeah, there's some things that I wish I could eat that I can't, that I don't anymore. But on the flip side, the benefits, the fact that I can walk without a limp, right? The fact that I can walk without pain, the fact that my asthma, my allergies for the most part, except for this week, are so much better. And I've been on allergy meds since age 9. Age
Wow.
9. I was playing on the playground and I couldn't breathe because of asthma and allergies. My sleep apnea is so much better. My joint pain's so much better that yes, I do miss going out for a pizza, or I'm Italian. I do miss having that spaghetti, right? But the benefits of how I'm living my life and how I feel, I don't want that anymore. It's not worth it. It's just not. And honestly, give me a ribeye. My favorite food is ribeye and bacon. And I'm sure bacon probably is not with antihistamine, whatever that I believe that I have. But honestly, I don't feel that bad eating the bacon. So I just eat the bacon. Bacon, ribeye, and eggs. That's my perfect meal. So the benefits outweigh anything that I would perceive as a negative on this lifestyle. And I just can't even believe I'm only what, 6 months in, maybe 7 months in carnivore. So I'm still gaining the benefits, right? And I don't know how long it takes. It's different for every person to realize the full benefits to this. So it's worth it to me. So that's the question. That's the question that I like to ask. I don't know if that's a good enough answer for you,
Oh,
that, like,
no,
what are the drawbacks?
that is a beautiful answer. And I think we have to be real because there are drawbacks
Yep.
to everything. It's one thing is you're not trying to sell it for, oh, this is the perfect way. It's a healing way. And I think it's really
Yeah.
exciting to see where you are now and what's it going to be like in another 6 months, in another
Yeah.
year, and 5 years, which leads me into so what is next for you? And you talked a little bit about your business, but just share that. And I'm going to post everything in the
Yes.
description. But where can people find you? What do you have coming up?
Oh my gosh. So I'm just trying to get through the classes right now and get these certifications done. I do have my final exam coming up for PhD, so I'm a little nervous about that, but you know what? I'll be fine, I'm
You're
sure.
going to rock it. I
Uh,
know it.
my business is going to be my focus, which is harmonyhealthandlifestyle.com. I have a website that I just launched this week. There's going to be recipes out. There's already recipes out there. I haven't listed my coaching packages yet because I don't want to do that until I'm fully ready to do that, which may be another month. My big thing that has always been is my YouTube channel, which is at Keto Rock Stars. And I go live once a week on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. And that is really blossoming more than I ever thought it would. So that's exciting. And just, I guess my main focus is just going to be to help as many people as I can. I'm not quitting my day job. So I'll probably limit it on how many clients that I can take at one time. But my 5-year goal is just to realize this dream of helping people and saving lives. I've always said, and other people say this too, but I've always said if I could just save one life and saving it, put that into perspective, we're all gonna end up at the same place, but make someone's life better and make them live longer and feel better while they're living their life. That is like my goal. Just one person. Of course, now I think that I might be growing that to like, well, maybe I can save 5 or 10 people, you know? I'm getting a little more ambitious. A
Well,
little more ambitious.
I guarantee that you already have. And look at your life and the influence in your energy, and it's amazing, and I can't wait
Thank
to see
you.
what's gonna happen, and we're gonna have to talk again, like, whether it's on
Yes, we'll
camera
do this
or
again.
off, we need
Yes.
to. But thank you so
Yes.
much. I appreciate you getting up
Thank you
at the
so
crack of
much.
dawn to be on here. Thank you. Amira says thank you, although she's like, "Why are we doing this so early?" She's, like, very sleepy. But, thank you so
Thank
much.
thank you, Barb, and I appreciate it, and let's do it again, okay?
Definitely.